Welcome, everyone. This is Coffee with the Founder. I'm Beck Bamberger, and we do our fun little show here to better understand why founders are doing the insane path of venture-backed startups and why they keep doing them too, because we get a lot of people on here who have been around the bend and they keep doing venture-backed startups despite having done one before. So we're demystifying this realm of venture-backed companies and just learning a little bit about what it takes to run a venture-backed company and the demands that that has. With us today is Camden Hunt. He is the CEO and co-founder of Rock Zero. Camden, thank you for being here. You are, wait, hold on before. You are, let me look at this here again, using proprietary chemistry to make lithium chemicals that are, of course, lower in cost, lower in emissions, better for the planet, and of course, to have lower waste happening. So welcome.
Thanks, Beck. Yeah, no, it's great to be here. And yeah, you nailed it. We're a startup out of MIT. We're really focused on really reinventing the mineral refining industry and basically how we get elements from rocks.
Which is why there's a giant rock on your website, right on the homepage, which I really liked. I was like, oh,
Right
yeah,
on the splash
exactly.
page. Yeah.
Yeah. So I asked this of people who are doing material science and are in the deep tech arena. Why hasn't this been done before? Has it been cost prohibitive? Actually, the science hasn't existed. There was not a demand. What would you say?
Yeah, great question. I mean, yeah, so just a bit of background of how I kind of stumbled into this space. So prior to starting Rock Zero, I worked at MIT as the project manager for a center called the Center for Electrification.
Electrification and decarbonization, right?
Exactly,
Boom, got
exactly.
it. Yep. Have my
Yeah,
little sheet.
yeah. So if you think of the mining and the mineral refining industries, they're really high capital,
Yeah.
slow moving industries. So innovation in this space is actually fairly slow. And another kind of consideration of why I think that the way that we actually extract elements from rocks hasn't changed significantly in the past, 100 years.
Mm.
It really ties into the fact that these industries, they're optimized for the lowest costs possible.
Yeah.
So really the parameter space that you can play in within this industry is really small.
Cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
you think of these processes and you're moving huge volumes of earth and you're using very low cost reagents like strong acids or strong bases. And a lot of the investment in the industry is actually kind of locked in. So, if you build a refinery in the US or Canada,
Yeah.
those investments pay themselves off over a period of 10 or 20 years.
Yeah.
So
Long
even if
tail.
if
Yeah.
new technologies are invented, the industry is very slow to adopt them.
Mm.
So if you want to kind of drive change in the industry towards cleaner, cheaper methods, you really have to come up with technologies where there's no other option but to adopt them. Find something that the industry is that's so appealing to the industry that they have no choice but to actually adopt that new process.
We call this forcing chess moves in chess I was just thinking of my instructor because I was playing chess yesterday, and it's like, oh, and you got a forcing chess move, you can only do that. And it makes a choice obvious because there's really no choice. You have to do that particular move. Okay. Even backing up further, how'd you get into rocks? You got a PhD in physics. Let me double check. Let me check yes, you do.
PhD in chemistry. Yeah.
Actually chemistry. From UC Santa Barbara, which is great. Santa Barbara's wonderful. Holler at California. Yay. So tell me a little bit more on just what you got or what made you get into rocks, but more the chemistry around rocks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll be transparent. Like my pathway to actually end up here, like founding a company out of MIT, it was I would say very non-linear.
Okay.
So
Very common though.
Yeah, I got my PhD from UC Santa Barbara, where I worked primarily in inorganic chemistry, and most of the focus of my PhD was actually finding new ways to remediate nuclear waste. So I developed technologies
Fun.
that basically enabled the extraction of uranium from like dilute aqueous nuclear waste streams. So that was my PhD. And then after I got my PhD at UC Santa Barbara, I took kind of a leap where I got the opportunity to do a postdoc at the University of British Columbia, actually in nuclear physics.
Yeah, you were a
So
Quantum Matter Institute fellow, correct?
yeah. So I joined UBC to work on this project that was backed by Google, that was basically revisiting some of the claims in the early 90s around cold fusion. And so I worked at UBC for about 2 years on that. And that's actually where I met my co-founder, Professor Yetming Chang from MIT, who he was also involved with this project. But yeah, so I worked on that at.
Oh, but pause on that here for a second. What were some of those claims you were debunking, let's say?
Oh, yeah. So there was a lot of claims in the early 90s that you could drive nuclear fusion reactions actually within condensed matter. So basically solid state materials. And there was a lot of excitement around it because people thought that there was this pathway where you might actually be able to drive nuclear fusion at lower temperatures than kind of the conventional, hot plasma pathways that are
Which is
actually.
expensive, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So Google had basically sponsored some research at UBC, and I ended up meeting some of the folks that were involved with that. And it just seemed like kind of an incredible opportunity to work with some people that were really aiming high and really trying to push the boundaries of science. So, yeah, I joined UBC to work on that project. And right as I was kind of wrapping my position up there, um, I had interacted with Professor Yetming Chang from MIT.
Yep.
And, he's also a really ambitious guy who strives for really challenging problems to tackle. And
Sounds like a founder.
yeah. Well, he's founded quite a few companies actually.
Yes, according
um,
to your team page. He's been
yeah,
around.
yeah. So, like, right as I was wrapping up that position, he was starting this new center at MIT, which was really focused on trying to find ways to decarbonize some of these high emitting industrial processes, but high emitting processes that were also simultaneously really hard to decarbonize. So the center that I worked in, we were focused on developing new chemical technologies for decarbonizing like cement, steel, ethylene,
Yes.
ammonia. And even those four products, if you look at them, they account for almost half of
Yeah.
all of the CO2 emissions from industry.
Mm.
So I jumped at
Ugh.
that opportunity and went to MIT and started working with Yet. And like very early into my time at MIT, we got really focused on this idea of kind of reinventing mineral refining to try to find ways where we could actually extract elements from rocks in a way that was lower cost and cleaner than the way that the industry operates today. And sort of the motivation behind that is, if you think a kind of broad view of like decarbonizing society, any of the pathways that we take to do that are going to require huge amounts of raw materials, a
Yeah.
lot of which are sourced from rocks. So if you want to actually like extrapolate out the amount of raw materials that we need to decarbonize society, you kind of come to this implicit conclusion that if we don't reinvent mining and mineral refining, then that transition is going to have huge environmental consequences. So that was really my motivation to jump into this space is the realization that basically the entire industry of mining and mineral refining needs to be reinvented if we're going to go down this pathway of decarbonization without these huge environmental consequences.
Now, the alternative is we just keep going doing the thing that we're doing, and then the planet is 11 degrees hotter Celsius and
Exactly.
everyone burns down. Okay. Right? That's the alternative.
Exactly. That's the
Yeah.
conclusion I came to.
Yeah. Okay. So For you, following him back to MIT, moving yourself over to Boston, you're like, okay, let's start working on this because
Mhm.
here is my conclusion. Again, forcing chess move. This is the end state of the planet if this is to continue in the mining industry, which I think is missed maybe in the general population. I don't have any stats on this particularly, but like so many materials, like concrete, like you mentioned, are polluting, are
Mhm.
emissions dense. And it's going to take at that level from literally the rocks in the ground to be changing in order for us to have any hope here.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, you nailed it. A great example that I like to talk about is like, if I don't know what kind of phone you have, but if you have an
Yeah,
iPhone,
yeah, I got an iPhone right here. How many
yeah,
materials are in here?
yeah. So
Tons.
you got 118 elements on the periodic table, and to make that iPhone, you need about 75 elements.
I was just going to say, how many elements are in an iPhone?
Yeah.
75. Dang. Okay, so more than half of the whole entire table is in there.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's crazy. Like if you look at the material demand of like, modern technologies,
Yeah.
you really need everything. And
Mm.
yeah, there's a huge amount of mining, a huge amount of mineral refining, and both of those sectors are going to explode in the next
Oh,
couple
yeah.
decades.
Well, we already do see it with China's grip on raw materials and all the
Mhm.
trade conversations and so forth. Maybe you could just educate here just for a second. Actually, no, because then we could be here for so many hours, Camden. So perhaps we shouldn't go down there. But how about this? In short, what is your analysis or what is your take on just the global players in materials right now? This is not to be a
Yeah.
political question. This is just like, hey, you from a scientist perspective, where are we
Mhm.
at?
Yeah, right now, the vast majority of mineral refining is controlled by China. So, like when we first spun out, I was thinking of mining and mineral refining from the perspective of basically the environmental
Yeah.
consequences. But now there's this whole new
There's
element
a
in the conversation.
geopolitical thing going on here, big time.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's like a real serious need for the US and Canada and the European Union to actually find ways to develop their own refining
Yeah.
pathways. But kind of the challenge there is
I-
if you look at the way that these processes are operated in China, it's we don't have basically the appetite to copy and paste what's done there in a place like the US. So if you really want to like,
why is that? You mean the appetite is in the way it's done and the pollution that it causes or
yeah, yeah, it causes a lot of pollution.
mhm.
It's very waste intensive.
Mhm.
And it's also just challenging from an economic perspective,
Mm.
because, in the US and Canada and the EU, we
It's
typically have
expensive.
higher labor
Yeah,
costs and
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
higher capital
Yeah.
requirements.
Also, I think a big piece of this is it is literal material. So it's not like go dig a hole in your backyard. You may not
Mhm.
have that actual material in your jurisdiction, in your country, in your, whatever. So like there's a whole game
Yeah.
there as well that China has been, I think, masterful in the last couple of decades of getting into all types of countries that could use their funding to go like, cool, we'll just take some of your dirt. Thank you very much. So wow, what a time. What a time, Camden.
It's a
Man,
fun time for the space for sure.
fun. I like that perspective. This is very good. Okay. What have you hacked recently, Camden? And I've used the word hacked because just to flip
Mhm.
it, but maybe figured out or your how to recently.
Yeah, yeah. If I was going to kind of distill down what our technology is and kind of what the value proposition of it is. So basically, what we figured out at MIT is we found a completely new way to extract elements from rocks. So, if you think of conventional processing, typically what the industry does is they'll dig up a rock, they'll purify it basically into a mineral powder,
Hmm.
and then they'll use some sort of chemical reagent to extract the element that they're after from the rock. So typically they'll use like either a strong acid or a strong base. But the general thesis is, produce this purified mineral powder and then try to extract the target element that you want out of that powder.
And
What
then throw out the rest, right?
and then throw out the rest. And that's where a lot of the
Yeah.
waste comes from, is you get liquid waste and you get solid waste from kind of approaching the problem from that perspective. So what we invented at MIT, and now what we're actually scaling within Rock Zero, is essentially a complete inversion of that typical process. So what we figured out is we found a way to extract elements from rock where, rather than trying to leach a target element out of the rock, we actually dissolve the entire rock at pretty close to room temperature. So the general idea is we have this chemical process where we take a rock and we
Yeah.
turn it into what is basically soup. So
Okay. Yes.
so we make rock soup, and then we extract we extract the elements that we're after from that
With the
soup.
ladle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. The scientific
really,
equivalent. Okay.
the key difference of the way that we're approaching the problem from how it's typically done is we drive this whole process in a way where we actually take every part of the rock and convert it into a useful product. So, rather than just going after one element and
And
pulling
then
it out
chuck
of the
the rest.
rock,
Yeah.
yeah, we actually take all of the elements and split them into useful products. And
Then you can
then,
sell the whole rock.
exactly. So it helps with the economics. It helps
Yeah.
with basically, this problem of waste in the industry. But then kind of the real key to all of our technology is we run this entire process in a way where we actually recycle and regenerate all of the chemical inputs that we use to process the rock. So that's actually where the
Okay.
name of the company
Zero.
comes
Yeah.
from, is, we have a mineral input, we convert all of it into a value-added product, and then we recycle and regenerate everything that we use to drive that chemical transformation.
Okay, that is your hack then. I would definitely say rock soup with good ladles, basically, to put it back. Is there junk rocks? Like, is that across the board? Can you do this with
Yeah.
materials? Really?
Yeah. So all of our intellectual property, our entire process is broadly applicable to a type of rock called an aluminosilicate rock, which is, so aluminosilicates, they have really strong bonds, strong chemical bonds. So if you look at the industry historically, they actually typically avoid working with this type of rock. So our technology actually opens up basically this whole range of feedstocks that the industry typically does not like to work with, but are very abundant. So a lot of our targets are actually critical mineral containing rocks that are abundant in North America
Oh, well,
and
that's
the
helpful.
EU.
That's
Yeah.
good. Okay. We're figuring out quite a lot here, Camden. My last question for us today, because we have limited time, we're not here to be here 5.5 hours, is who are you becoming?
Oh, good question.
I know it's my next existential question.
Yeah, I'm making the transition from a technical co-founder coming from an academic background into, the CEO of a startup.
That's
And
right.
those are two very different regimes to operate in. But yeah, I'm quite enjoying it, actually.
Regimes to operate it. Yes, it's true. It's true. I haven't
Yeah.
heard someone say like regimes. Yes, I need to use that word more often because it is military inspiring. Yes, it's war. You're in war in a way. Rock war, basically. Good answer. Have you been feeling that too? Like, just did you know it coming in, or were you like, oh God, wow, this is real different?
Oh, all I knew coming in was that whatever I thought it was going to be something different.
There you go. Isn't that humbling?
Yeah, no, it's been a learning experience for sure. But one thing that I think I've been kind of uniquely fortunate in is just like the team of people that I get to work with. My co-founder, Ben Mowbray, I actually met him when I was at the University of British Columbia, and he was a grad student in the same group that I postdoced in. And he's a technical wizard. Like I can't imagine doing this without him. And then my other co-founder, Yetming Chang, I mean, he's been around the block. He's
Yeah.
spun out more than 10 companies at this point, across, kind of an impressive array of sectors. And yeah, just getting to work with a team of people with really
Brilliant people.
diverse
Yeah.
mindsets that's my favorite part of my job,
Oh,
hands
good
down.
answer. Oh, love it. Camden Hunt, thank you for being here today. You're the CEO and co-founder of Rock Zero, making rock soup and ladling it out so that it's not so it's not making the environment all gross. So Godspeed, man. Appreciate you being on for today.
Thanks, Beck. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. Good to see you.